Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast. We've got Lee Judges in the building, and Julian is back.
I wasn't gone for long. It was only 2 days, but unfortunately those 2 days coincided with the Invincibles, so I couldn't be there.
Deserted us. But listen, he's back in the place. And just before we get into the show today, action-packed show about the North London derby and a little mention about Mikel Arteta. And I've got something I need to ask him as well. But you can keep up to date with all the latest football action thanks to NordVPN. You can get 4 extra months on a 2-year plan by going to nordvpn.com/AFTV and signing up now. Wherever you are traveling, and I know we've got this big trip to Atalanta coming up next week, and I'm sure you guys will be using it. Switch your location with Nord so that you can still watch your favourite football team, in our case Arsenal, and catch up with the exciting action of the season. This is how I use NordVPN when travelling around the world, by simply selecting one of Nord's 6,000 plus servers in 111 countries worldwide, and by using my favourite streaming services as normal. I'll tell you, it is so good. It really, really does come in handy. Head over to nordvpn.com/AFTV or click the link in the description below to get 4 extra months of NordVPN with their brilliant 2-year plan. This is an exclusive deal to AFTV viewers, and you don't want to miss out. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you to our friends at NordVPN for powering this video. And as I said, trips to Atalanta coming up, trips to Milan. Well, both of them flying to Milan, right? And Lisbon, all the 3 of those before the end of this year. I've also got a couple of other trips I've got to do. I've got to go to New York next week. I will 100% be using my NordVPN. So brilliant.
Oh, so not in Italy next week.
You know what it is, right? Like, why are you stirring for? And you know. Right, you know why, right?
There was because he didn't check the fixtures. He didn't check both sets of fixtures. What? We had the conversation. We had the conversation. You said, "I'm not missing the game, so I checked the fixtures." And I said, "No, you haven't. You've only checked half the fixtures."
He's just checked the Premier League.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you how it went. Yeah, when I checked the fixtures, right? I've got to go to an event next week in New York for what YouTube are doing, which they invited me to, and when I checked some fixtures, I was like, oh yeah, perfect, I can go, right? Now, all of a sudden, you know, the Champions League fixtures are coming. And not only that, it's on a Thursday. It's not even like, if it had been on a Tuesday, I could have, you know what I mean? Thursday, right?
So would you have gone if it had been on a Tuesday?
No, if it was on a Tuesday, I could have went a day late. But the Thursday, I just can't do nothing about it. So, unfortunately, I am going to miss. But what I'm planning to do is to watch that game in New York with some New York fans, right? So, New York fans, I want to link up with you guys and watch that game with you, that Champions League game at Atalanta. But of course, you guys are going to be out there, and I'm gutted because I've never been there before. It's the first time we're ever playing Atalanta in any competition. So, and that's going to be a tough game. 3 tough games in 1 week. North London derby, Atalanta away. You might not say it's tough, but they're a good side. Remember, they won the Europa League last year. Unbeaten Leverkusen 3-0. They got Lookman, who's looked really impressive. You know, that's a tough game. And then, of course, Man City next week, right? So this is a hard week ahead for Arsenal, and we're going to discuss that. But just before we get into that, as seeing as you went jumping in with your thing, we did an interview the other day with Ian Stone, right? Very famous. A very famous Jewish comedian, right? And massive Arsenal fan. I mean, look out for that video. That's going to be coming up, I think, in the next international break on our very popular A-list feature. But he played in the Maccabi league, he said.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Which
Ian.
is the same league that you played in,
I've
right?
played against Ian.
Well, he don't remember you.
No, that's not true.
You claim you played against him. I asked him in the interview, and you'll be able to see these guys when it comes out. Do you remember Julian Becker? Do you remember this guy? One of the star players of the Maccabi League.
Top player.
He goes, well, I do know Julian, but I never, ever remember seeing him play in the league. I don't remember him as a player. I did say to him that he was possibly playing in the C team. He said he didn't know C teams existed. Right, so
I started.
You said you was a Santi Cazorla.
I need to get to the bottom of this because it seems that there could be some certain untruths going on here with regards to your playing career in the Maccabi League.
Okay, so the first thing is you've seen my trophies because you questioned me before.
I've seen trophies.
You've seen my trophies.
None of those trophies had your name written on them.
You've also seen...
They're generic trophies.
So I showed you an article that was written about me in the Jewish Chronicle about my footballing prowess. So, and you've seen that.
Listen, you know what it is, right?
What?
Knowing your influence around certain things, right? And the way he knows people, it is the way he's able to get people to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's write a little article about me, right? Yeah. I don't trust even that.
Right, okay. Well, look, I've got an article. I've got pictures of me playing. I haven't got any videos of me playing.
Do you remember Ian Stone playing him?
I've played against him 5-a-side, but things with Ian, and this is what you failed to say, he's older than me. So he'd probably finish playing at that higher level of Maccabi League when I was playing there.
Ah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think he's about 60. So, and I'm only 53. And 7 years, when you're at that age, makes a big difference. His career was probably on
the wane.
Yeah, on the wane. Whereas I was sort of at the pinnacle. Yeah, the pinnacle of my...
Yeah, but if he's on the wane and he's at the pinnacle, I'm sure he would have played against you.
And there was a lot of
remembered you.
And remembered you.
He knows who I am. And
he knows who you are. He said that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know who you are from football.
No.
Which is a bad thing, Riv, because
I don't remember... Look, he probably didn't play at the level that I played at.
But you remember him?
No, I don't.
Because you said you played against him, so you remember him, but you don't remember him. No, wait a minute. Oh, you saying he's...
Get a word in, am I?
No, right? But listen, because you
played at a better level, that's fine.
No, wait. Okay. He said that he probably doesn't remember because he was on the wane and this and that, but you remember him.
Okay.
But he don't remember you. But you did play against him.
Okay, I have played actually with him.
With him?
With him?
With him. It was a game after we both finished. Well, saying that, I'm very impressed. He still plays 5-a-side.
But he was on the wane.
Yeah, it was on the wane. But this was maybe about 5-10 years ago. I played in a game when I was trying to play again, and I had the knee problem and I couldn't play. And it wasn't.
Knee?
It was more of a.
I thought it was your shoulder.
No, it was shoulder now. But the reason I finished my footballing career was
lack of ability.
No, you've seen my ability. My ability. There's nothing wrong with my ability. Maybe my fitness wasn't great. My ability was good. The knee finished me. I ruptured my cruciate ligament, so that finished my career. But I played against Ian maybe about 5-10 years ago when I wasn't really playing anymore, and I tried to play in basically 11-a-side kick around. It was I think it was an inter-synagogue game.
Inter-synagogue.
I literally...
I've heard of Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Now Inter synagogue.
Yeah. Well, actually, the team I played for, I ended up playing for the
Inter Milan.
Yeah, I ended up playing for the Jewish Chronicle team.
Here we go.
I told you, man. That's how you got that article out. That's how I'm telling you. I know it, man.
But we actually called it JC Milan. That was Jewish Chronicle Milan was the name of our team. And then we used to play against the big derby for us, because I came from Gants Hill, was JC Milan against AC Gants Hill. Very high standard.
Yeah.
Let's talk about proper football, right? Of course, the breaking news that was just before we did this video was all around Mikel Arteta. Brand new contract, according to David Ornstein, till 2027. He's signing a 3-year deal. Going to make him the second highest paid manager in the Premier League. What are your thoughts? Let me start with you, Julian. Your thoughts around that? Mikel Arteta getting a new deal.
I'm really pleased. I mean, you talked before we went on air about the first interview that Arteta did, and the fact that everything he said has come to fruition. He's basically achieved everything he set out in that first interview.
Remind people again of the things he said.
Well, he said that he needed to change the culture. Mm-hmm. Which he's done. He said that he needed to bring the fans together again to feel connected with the team, which he's done. But I always remember his opening line of that interview is he said, "I feel at home." And I thought that was quite strange at the time, because even though he'd been a player at Arsenal, he wasn't. He's become a great manager and he was a good player. But I thought that was I didn't quite connect with that statement now, but now I see it. And when I think of Arteta, I think that he has found his home. And, I'm really happy that you look at you look at the stats and the win ratio. I think it's at 59.15% win ratio. Now, to put that into perspective, Wenger was only at 57.85%. So I know he's got a smaller sample size of games, but how he started off and what he's achieved in these, and it's 5 years now, isn't it, that he's been there, is quite remarkable, because the difference between him and Arsene was, I thought that Arsene actually took on a relatively successful team that just needed a bit of tinkering with, whereas Arteta, I think he's had to just rip it apart. It was probably at the lowest ebb, or one of the lowest ebbs since the 70s for me.
He's going to come under a lot of pressure now. He's got the new deal, he's got the new contract, but even before this contract, should I say, he's under pressure because a lot of people are looking at it now and saying, all right, you have done well, you've done good things, but trophies, man, we need to see some trophies now, you know what I mean? At least a repeat of the FA Cup, or give us the league, you know what I mean? Like, we missed out on it 2 years in a row, runners up. Can he get us over the line?
In a competition? In any competition?
Let's focus on the league. Can he get us over the line in the league?
Yeah, he can. But then you've got a team like City, and I keep going back to City. People say, why do you keep referring to City? Because City are, for me, the best team that I've seen at the time I've been watching football over a period of time. And you've got to beat that team. And they've started the season in the same way as they finished last season, just winning. And they look like they're winning easily as well. So I think it's going to be a challenge. He can do it with what's happened over the last week or so since the Declan Rice sending off, and probably the day before that, the Marino shoulder injury. If that kind of luck or bad luck continues, then I don't think we will do it, because for everything you plan for, if your luck is that bad, and luck does come into football, hopefully over the course of the season it evens itself out. But if you carry on with that kind of run of bad luck, then we won't win it.
He's done good things, Lee, but he's under pressure, isn't he?
Yeah, he is under a bit of pressure. I have to say that, but he has done well. I think, just thinking what I look back at that interview, because I see it today, and if you go back 5 years ago, and I urge even the ones that want Mikel out of the club now, like, go back to it, what it was like 5 years ago. I don't think we realised how doom and gloom it was about. You know, not only was we getting beat or didn't know how we was going to get on and all that, like, them down the road were much better than us. And that always added a little bit more fuel to the fire, and of frustrations and things like that. And it wasn't, dare I say, a enjoyable experience as it should be, going to Arsenal home and away. It wasn't. Now you go, and you know you can't wait for the next game, or you look forward to it. And despite all the injuries and all that, I'm looking forward to Sunday, because you know, the manager has given me that belief that we can go to places like Tottenham now and win games of football like we have done in the last couple of years. And one of the things that he's done is what he said there. And I know it sounds silly. He said this 5 years. Is it 5 years ago now, or 5 years ago Christmas? Everything that he said has come through, like, you know, if the players are not good enough, they'd be gone. If they're not going to go into my culture, it's not going to be there. I'm going to get the fans all on side and everything like that. So if he's telling me now that we're going to go and win things, I'm going to sort of go believing that, because of what he said 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But it's, you know, and Julian makes a great point there. Manchester City are probably the best team that we've encountered over a period of 6, 7 years. You know, your Man United teams and Arsenal teams done it for 1 or 2 years, and then, but this team goes on and on and on, like, you know. And Liverpool went up against them with the best Liverpool team that I've seen in the Premier League era, and see them off. And now Arsenal have come along. You know what I mean? And whoever it is at Manchester United, they see off Manchester United before that, like, you know. So you have to give credit where credit's due, and that is with Man City. But somewhere along the line now, you know what I mean, Pep's getting a little bit older. It could be Mikel's time. So I think we've got to be, as hard as it is, a little bit more patient. And I know that people don't want to hear that, but I do think that, you know, you've got to be challenging to win it, you know, and we are getting there.
Yeah, I do get a bit annoyed when I hear, like, fans just say, if you don't do it this year, gone. Like, people will just come up and it's just like a broad question, like, Rob, if he doesn't win it this year, is that it?
He's got to go, yeah.
And I'm like, even when I've said before in the past, well, it would depend. It really depends how. If we completely capitulated in everything this season, then yeah, we have to start looking at the situation. But to me, the last couple of seasons we've run it really close. You know, it's just a difficult thing to do in this league, right? And you'd be unlucky that he's coming up against Pep Guardiola. He could have two titles under his belt. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, I've seen what he's built. I'm like you, Lee. I remember how bad it was. It was awful. Speaking to fans week in, week out, and it's just doom and gloom. Going to games, even we'd go to away games, right, and we'd be playing whoever, just small teams. No disrespect to them.
Could have been Bolton.
It could be like a Southampton.
Yeah.
We go, yeah, we take a draw. That's how we were going to games. Take a draw right now. At home, we want to win every game, but on the road, a lot of games are going there. It's going to be tricky, you know. Well, I don't know, man. I'll take a draw. We don't really go to games like that no more, do we? We go to games thinking, we go in the North London derby at the weekend, tough place to go, Tottenham, as we know. We're going there saying, we want 3 points despite the injuries, right? So that's what he's done. He's changed the mindset of the fans. He's changed the culture, like he said. He made some tough decisions when he got rid of Aubameyang, when he got rid of Ozil, all these sort of guys. These were really tough decisions to make that he's made. He's steadily over the years brought in his own players, his own style, and he's going toe-to-toe with the best manager, I think, that's ever been in the Premier League in Pep Guardiola. So, you know, we've got a good guy here. We've got a good manager. We've got to get behind him. He's doing a good job. I look at the team that he's built, like the personnel compared to when he took over. It's like night and day when you look at the team now. You know what I mean? How many of the Arsenal players got into the team of the year last year? So, you know, we're moving in the right direction, and I think it is positive that he signed this new deal. However, North London derby coming up at the weekend, nobody ain't going to care about no contracts. All we care about is we need to win that game. We need to win that game because we need to get back on track after that draw against Brighton, but we also need to win that game for pure pride, right? It's the North London derby. I was up at their ground yesterday. You don't want to lose that game. And we go into this game, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I think we was all confident going into this game thinking, we won it the last 2 years at their stadium. We'll do it again. A little bit different now, you know what I mean? A little bit more, less favourites now, although some people still make us the favourites. No Martin Odegaard, injured during the week whilst playing for Norway, rolled his ankle. We still don't know how long he's going to be out for. But probably by the time Mikel does his press conference, we'll get more of a feel on it. But the talk is at least 3 weeks. He's going to be missing Tottenham and City by the sounds of it. No Marino, as we know. I mean, in that midfield area, little bit of a crisis. You know, Tottenham fans sensing blood. You know what I mean? I can tell you that from being up by their ground yesterday. We was filming the previews. Spoke to quite a few of them. They're like, we're gonna, loads of players missing in your midfield. No Rice as well, remember, suspended. Yeah, we reckon we sort you lot out this weekend. Tough game. And it's a game really we need to win after that setback against Brighton. So how are you guys feeling ahead of the North London derby? And what do we do in that midfield? What do we do? Because there's going to have to be a change. Players are going to have to come in. What do we do? Let me start with you firstly. What happens for you? Formation change, and how are you feeling about that game?
I'll be honest. You know, I used to dread these games. A few years ago, I used to dread them because whether you liked it or whether you didn't, they were the better team. So at one point, but they had Harry Kane up front. Like, they haven't got Harry Kane no more. Like, you know, so over the last couple of years, I think like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, before we started, take a draw at Tottenham. I'll go in there now thinking, no, a draw's not good enough. That's what the mindset is that the manager's put into me, like, you know. And I think that, it's going to be tough. The Marino one, when people go, he's out and all that, he hasn't played for us. So I don't know even if he'd be starting today, if everybody was fit.
Well, he might have been, innit?
He might have been. He might definitely be on the bench.
You think about it, he would have been there now a couple of weeks. We would have had probably gone away with Spain, played a couple of games with them. He'd be fit and ready to go.
He'd be fit and ready to go, but not necessarily that he'd play. You know what I mean? So
well, he would if Odegaard would have been out. He would have been there with one of those players who would have been able to come in. Or he'd be able to come in for Rice.
Yeah, they're coming for Rice for this one,
So he would have played.
So he might have played. He might have put Jorginho in. I don't know. You know what I mean? You don't. You know, Jorginho's there for a reason. But he's not played, so I don't even know what he's going to do for Arsenal. Like, you know what I mean? So when people turn around and go, "Oh, we've got all of our first team midfield missing," like, no, we haven't. Like,
well, he might have been.
Might have been, but it ain't guaranteed. Nothing there. We've got a squad. You know, Partey has done well. Partey is going to be there. I'd go Partey and Jorginho. I don't think that's a bad two anyway. Like, if I'll be honest,
you worry a bit with Jorginho. He's not started a game yet for Arsenal. And remember last season. If you remember last season, which I thought when he came in he did well, but the first game he came in was actually against Tottenham. Remember, he gave the ball away that led to their goal.
He did come on as a sub.
He got caught in possession. Remember that?
You're going to be in positions like that where that can happen.
So he might be a bit... The talk, what I'm saying is he might be a little bit off because he's not really played any minutes yet.
Well, that's down to Mikel, isn't it? Like, you know, that he hasn't. You know, it's hard to get into this Arsenal team. Let's get it right. You know what I mean? Like Partey and Declan Rice, that's hard to break into. Like, you know. So listen, that's what I think. Jorginho is a perfect sort of squad player. Come in a few games, come out a few games. Don't forget last season he played in all the top games. I think he played at Man City. Definitely played in their away games. So he's a winner. I don't think you can say to Jorginho, yeah, you can go and play for 6 months, week in, week out. But in and out, popping in and out, I think's okay. So I think he'd be all right in there, like, you know. Mm-hmm. So him and Partey will come in there. Don't forget Declan Rice comes back for the next game. It's who you play now in place of Odegaard. That's the one.
So who do you play?
So there's two, you know what I mean? Nathan Wanyeri, but I've actually heard that he's took a banging England under 19s and has got concussion. Have you heard that?
No.
So yeah, I've heard that. So I don't know.
I shouldn't laugh. Sorry, I'm not
so like, you know, so there's a doubt about him. So if that is the case, then, you know, I'd probably put in Trossard in there. You know, he's played there before. I remember him playing against Barcelona in a sort of that's not perhaps that role, but similar, and done okay. And that's experienced enough. It's not as ideal.
Drop Havertz back in there.
I think there's
a rumour Jesus could be back.
Well, if Jesus is fit, I wouldn't be against it because with Havertz, he has played, but I think Havertz does so much good for us in that forward role. So, you know, if Jesus is 100% fit, I don't know if he is or not.
Is he ever 100%?
No, but I wouldn't be adverse to putting him in there and putting Havertz back in it. We have got, I think Julian said earlier, we've still got options in there. If we was to play Partey, Jorginho and Havertz, you know what I mean? That ain't a bad midfield. So I don't know, but I think that if he's fit, I'd play Wanyeri because at the end of the day, if you've got him in the squad, and he is the backup to Martin Odegaard, well, you can't turn around and go, oh, it's Spurs away, like we ain't playing him. Like Paul Davis made his debut against Tottenham away when he was a 17-year-old kid. You know what I mean? People have done it before.
And you can look at examples across the league of players that have come in really young and have really stepped up to the plate, like that Kobe Mainoo at United. He's what, 19 now, isn't he? He's come in really young. Rico Lewis at City. That is sometimes you've got to give these guys a chance.
Yeah, but there's also
that Bradley who came in for
Bradley
right back.
Conor Bradley.
Yeah,
Conor
Bradley. He came
very
in for
good.
Trent.
Yep.
And how good he proved that Trent had to win his place back.
Yeah.
I mean, so sometimes it is the time for that young player. If you're backing him, if you're saying, I mean, Fabio Vieira was not sent, but he's gone on loan. They allowed that loan to happen. They must have faith in this Wanyeri.
Yeah, but, you know, you talk about the players that have stepped up. For every player that's stepped up, there's probably maybe 10 players that have been thrust into these positions that have then just disappeared. I mean, the one I'm thinking of recently for Arsenal was Charlie Patino. And it's not just a case of putting them into the first team. It's a case of who's going to be around them. When you put a young player in to a winning team and a more stable midfield, especially that position, it's probably easier for them to fit in. But as we know, our first choice midfield, all three of them, aren't going to be there for different reasons. So if you're going to put him in, you're putting him in with two other players that aren't considered to be
but
first
very
team.
experienced players. Two very experienced players.
Well, Thomas Partey, I'd say, first choice, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he probably will be in.
Well, he's been first choice this season
in this situation. But of all the players in that midfield that was more likely to be dropped for the performances up to now, it would have been Thomas Partey. So,
but I'm saying, if you do put a Wanyeri in there, he's going in with two vastly experienced players, especially a player like Jorginho, who will be able to tell him on the pitch, or Mikel Arteta's described him almost like a coach on the pitch. So that's a perfect guy for him to be in.
He's left out. He's not only got rid of Vieira on loan, he's sold Smith Rowe, who could have been the ideal player to come in for this game. There must be a reason why he didn't go in and replace either one of them. We haven't replaced either one of them.
Well,
but people have turned around and said
Marino's coming.
But he's not the same sort of player.
But he'd be sort of playing where Smith Rowe
would have played. He'd have played in that position.
What?
The
sort of in the left side of midfield.
No. You were talking about replacing Odegaard here,
you're on about Odegaard, okay.
Yeah,
but Smith Rowe.
Well, that's sort of Smith Rowe's sort of position to replace Odegaard. Vieira replaced Odegaard, I remember, at Brentford a couple of seasons ago.
Vieira will definitely replace Odegaard.
So you've not gone in and got a replacement for them. You've basically said, no, I'm Wanyeri is. I've seen Wanyeri playing. I've been very, very impressed with him. And the other fella as well, Salah Adid. So I've been very impressed with him. It's a big ask to bring him into a North London derby, and ideally you wouldn't want to be doing that. But injuries happen.
Yeah,
Bob.
but I think the point is that, I mean, on Monday when you sent me that WhatsApp, the picture of Odegaard's ankle, I was despondent. It's like, of all the players that we could have lost, and
he's key, isn't he?
He's key. But as the week's gone on, I've started reading articles. I've been sort of having conversations with yourself, and I've been listening to other people's podcasts. It has been quite therapeutic. And I even got a text from Graham, who kind of gave me what he thought the lineup should be, and then I was really confident. He asked me what my opinion was. I thought, oh, okay. So he's asking me my opinion.
Well, that's because you've replied, like, no one replies.
Yeah, my opinion is I'm going to copy everything you've just written.
What is your freedom? What is your?
Well, he's not very happy with you for a start.
Why is he not happy with me?
Well, because of something you said apparently on one of your shows that he'd never played football before. So what does he know?
I've never said what does he know.
Yeah, but you didn't understand how he knew what he knew. That in fact he'd never played football.
I'm impressed that I'm impressed that his knowledge is so good.
And because you watch Tactical Insight every time, so you know how good his insight is.
When it comes to the ball knowledge of football and tactics, Graham's up there.
He is, but he kind of said that he has played football, and you've got that wrong.
Oh, right. Well, I would apologise. I mean, whoever told me that.
Yeah.
You get yourself in trouble, you are.
Yeah. No, apparently he played at school. I'm not sure whether he meant for the team or in the playground, but he's definitely played.
You mean he might have played in Maccabi League?
I don't think he's he's too good for that. Well, come on.
So, but the point I'm making is that I've heard so many different options, and I've got my own opinion, but.
Well, that's what we want to know.
Yeah, but the reality is there are loads of options. Even though we've got these three players out, we've still got options. And I keep changing my mind. I was thinking, right, let's bring Saka into the Odegaard role because he's played there before. I think against Brighton in 2020 he played there. He set up Pepe, I remember. He's done that. Then you can bring Sterling in, and you can still play Partey. And then you can bring Havertz back.
Sterling did kind of play there for City sometimes.
Yeah, so they've played there. So it's options. And I'm not saying I'm completely convinced by my own opinions here, because I'm pretty close. And I keep changing mine. When you talk about Wanyeri, I think, I could see that. When you talk about Jesus being fit, okay, we can play him up front. Trossard can do a job. And the conclusion I've come to is that Edu's built this squad. And even though I was despondent with the three players that we've got out, and especially Odegaard, there's still options. And when you actually look at Tottenham, and I was reading an article in The Athletic, and they were talking about, they were grading everyone's teams, but not just the first teams, but the second 11 as well. So if every player wasn't playing in your first team, let's look at who would be playing the second team. And they had Spurs' first 11 as number 7 in the Premier League, and Arsenal's second 11 as number 10. And Arsenal aren't going to be playing their second 11. Yes, the midfield may well be a second 11 midfield, but the rest of our team's there. So it kind of started bringing my confidence back, and I wasn't so despondent.
So who's your 3 in the midfield?
I think I'd have Partey, Saka and Havertz. I'd bring Havertz back.
Saka and Havertz?
Yeah.
So no Jorginho for you, not in...
I wouldn't play... For me, I'd be a little bit hesitant on playing Partey and Jorginho together. I think they're a little bit too immobile. I'd have one of them, definitely. One or the other, but I wouldn't have both together.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it as well, and you're right, there's a lot of options you can have in there, because the other player you could throw in there, you could put like a Timber in there or a Calafiori if he's fit, right? If you need a bit more legs, especially a Timber in there. I do feel that you could have Partey, Urian Timber sort of, as that box-to-box guy, and then a Wanyeri. But then I just look on it and think, do we want that much experimenting in a game like this? Especially when you haven't got a lot of time to try all these things out, because players have been away on international duty, including Timber. So I'll probably stick with Timber in that left-back position, because I do think we're going to have to be really solid at the back. They're really quick down the wide areas, Tottenham, so you need something to counter that. All right, and then my midfield would be, I would go with the experience of Jorginho and Thomas Partey. They may not be mobile, but they're vastly experienced players, right? I know Tottenham are going to try and press them, but both of those are 2 players that, have shown press resistance in the past, good passers of the ball as well. And I think I'll go Trossard as well in that midfield area, because the Wanyeri thing, I thought at first, yes, start Wanyeri. But then I'm like, no, maybe start Trossard if it ain't working on, bring Wanyeri on more, sort of thing. And I think Trossard, what he brings is, if there's a ball that drops around that box or anything, he's another goal scorer who can score goals. So I think I'd like to see Trossard in there from the start. The front 3 is interesting. I got an idea around my front 3. Lee, let's hear your front 3 for that game. Remember, Jesus could possibly be fit for this game. We don't know 100% yet, but there was talk he's nearing fitness. What's your front 3?
Listen, if we're not going to put Havertz in midfield, there's an argument for that. Don't forget Zinchenko can play in there as well.
There was Zinchenko was another one I considered, but I just looked on it, I thought, maybe it is a time for that, because he's definitely so creative and he plays there for his country. But then I'm like, Zinchenko, Jorginho, and Partey. There's not a lot of legs in that midfield. And Tottenham do have legs in their midfield. They've got that pup size, really. Got, Bissouma, probably Bentancur. They'll have legs in their midfield, right? Especially with those 2, Bissouma and that pup size. So I think we just maybe... I don't know. I wouldn't be against Zinchenko there. I wouldn't be against it.
It'd be really interesting what I see. With your Jorginho one, if you're not going to play him, why give him the year's contract?
Yeah, I think the thing is about it, we've seen him come into the team loads of times, and he's done well. He's not like he's just come in and he's just been a filler player.
No, he's a good player.
He's come in and he's done better than when a Fabio Vieira's come in.
So
he's done well. So we've got to back him.
So I'm going to say that we've got enough. Right, we've got enough in that midfield to not put Havertz in. I understand what you're saying and all that, but I'm going to say, I just think with Havertz, I think he gives us so much. If we was to put him in midfield, we'd lose so much, especially when we don't know about Jesus. So I'm going Havertz in the middle.
Yeah, and he can drop back as well. We know he can drop back and help out.
Him and
Saka.
No, so Saka on the right, and Martinelli on the left, because I think we're going to have to, if they play that high line, we're going to have to a little bit.
If they play that high line, they will play that high line.
They don't know any other way.
Well, so listen, so they didn't do it particularly the one time they didn't do it was against Man City, and it nearly worked for them. So let's hope they play that high line. They played it against Newcastle when they was on top and got done. So let's hope that they
played it every game this season.
Yeah. So I would play Martinelli for that reason. If for me then Trossard comes in, Trossard and Havertz can interchange a little bit, and that's what I'll go there. And then 20-25 minutes from the end, you've got the likes of your man to come on, like Sterling.
My man.
Yeah, Sterling to come
How's
on.
he my man all of a sudden?
Well, all of a sudden, I know why.
He's going to go about this Jamaican figure again.
Like, you know what I mean? So, that's what I would do.
Okay, what would be your front three?
Well, if I've said that I'd have Saka and Havertz in midfield, then I'd have to have Sterling on the right, Trossard or Jesus, depending on the fitness of Jesus, up front, and I'll go with Martinelli on the left because of that high line. But I was left with
because
I was left with very little options.
All over the place, man.
That's why he's not manager.
That's just experimental, man, for a North London derby.
But I'm basing it on that they've played there before.
He's got Raya at right back.
I was going to put.
That's too much change, Julie. You can't move Saka from the right wing.
It's difficult to, but he's played there before. And the other thing that they've built,
2020, you said, that's 4 years ago.
But here's the other part.
You can't take two.
No, I understand that. But what they've built is players that have this fluidity of movement, and they can play different positions, and they do fit in it. And actually, when you watch them during the game, they don't keep to. We're talking about they're playing here, and we think about them being rigid. They're not, as you said. Trossard interchanges with Havertz, so it doesn't actually make so much difference where you say they're starting. They play where they need to play, depending on the game state.
I wouldn't be against Saka playing and then putting in someone else. I know what you're saying, but
Saka, for me, that high line they play is made for Saka.
But
it's also made for Sterling.
He tricks his way past a player we're in. For me, this is my front three.
Go on.
Saka on one wing. Havertz down the middle, I agree with you 100%. And plus as well, you remember, he can get back and help out as well. That's the great thing about Havertz, his work rate. And he holds the ball up good. And he's been scoring 2 goals in 3 games. On the other wing, Raheem Sterling. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not just because he's Jamaican. I know you're going to come with that, right? Sometimes you get a player, right, that obviously he's known. We all know Sterling, but he's unknown in the Arsenal setup. And I just think to myself, is that the sort of thing that when you're organising and that, and then you're organising, they know Martinelli and he's pacing behind. But Sterling's also got that pacing behind. He's also very good at carrying the ball. And then he's an unknown quantity within the Arsenal setup. He's not played for us before. So they're not going to quite know what he's going to bring, what he's going to do. And I just like that sort of little uncertainty that might put into Spurs' mind, because they might be feeling good. No Odegaard, they're feeling good. No Declan Rice, they're feeling good. But they might be like, but hold on, Sterling, what's he going to do? Is he going to... And we've seen as well with this guy, he's got a point to prove. You can see it. You can listen to the interviews, you can feel it. That he wants to start, he's got a point to prove. To me, I'd throw him in right from the start. Then later on, if it ain't quite happening for him, you've got Martinelli. Or later on, if he's really, he's run his legs off, you've got Martinelli who can come on later on and get in behind again. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, there's 2 pacey, really pacey, quick players that can play out on that left-hand side. So that's what I go with. I just
kick in the teeth for Martinelli, that then, isn't it?
Not really. Not really. It's not about a kick in the teeth, because for me, it's early in this thing about starting every game. I get it. You're a footballer, you want to start every game. It's early in the season. Martinelli can start against Atalanta.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah.
No, it's a big game. It's Champions League.
There's
loads of games coming up. Martinelli can start. It's not to me.
I think they shot the front 3 over.
The otto think about Martinelli is, from my understanding, he didn't go away with Brazil.
He didn't go away with Brazil.
So he's had a couple of weeks there in the training ground to work on stuff. And you talk about the reason why I want to play Sterling is because then Spurs won't really know what to expect. But we don't know. The discussions now prove we don't know what to expect. But what What we are in agreement,
but we know what you can do.
No, what we are in agreement on is the fact that there are different options. We don't know what he's going to play. We've all come up with different formations. In the same way as I'm trying to, have a bit of therapy for myself here, but one of the benefits here of us not knowing what the team's going to be, because we've got players out for different reasons, is that Spurs won't know what to expect either. So you don't put Sterling in just because I don't know what to expect.
No, but I do. I
know what
think,
to expect anyway.
I think if I'm a Spurs defender right now, there's no disrespect to Martinelli because he is a bit off form. We have to be real, right? But if I'm a Spurs defender right now and I see a starting lineup that has Sterling on one wing, Saka on the other wing, and Havertz down the middle, I'm worried.
I'd be more worried with Martinelli.
No.
I think whatever way you do it.
I'm more worried because Martinelli's not been on form.
Well, Sterling hasn't had a game.
Sterling hasn't had a game. Sterling didn't.
This is what annoys me about these Sterling lovers. Like,
listen to me. I'm trying to
playing for Chelsea's C team.
I'm trying to give you not the C team.
It was.
I'm trying to give you the justification for it, right?
Yeah, well, you're not doing a good job.
Sterling, a very experienced player, right? Martinelli's not been on form. I know Sterling didn't finish the Chelsea season well, but I'm saying he's got our guys chomping at the bit. I just feel that throw him in there in that game. If it ain't working on, you've got Martinelli you can bring on. It's a team game.
You can do it the other way.
It doesn't matter. You can do it the other way. You can do it the other way as well. But I just look on it and I say, because there's no Odegaard, because I've got a surprise for you. The surprise for you guys is we got Sterling starting.
Well, my surprise would be put Saka in there and then Odegaard, and that's a surprise.
No.
Because
Saka,
I don't
Saka is, even saw him playing for England during the week. He's brilliant out on that right hand side.
Yeah,
he's one of the best around. He's one of the best in world football right now on that right hand side, Saka. So he stays there. I don't want to move him.
And what you got to look at is, and this is a real thing. I would play Martinelli, and then in Italy, I'm starting Sterling. I'm starting a different front three for a game in Italy because they've got to be fresh
for Man City.
So I think that all Jesus will come back into it. Then I would like.
And if we don't get I totally agree with you, because if we don't get the result in Italy, it's not the end of the world, because we can cover it back. But with the way that Man City are, if we lose to Man City at this stage of the season and go, that far behind them, I think, look, it's not over, but it's a lot more devastating than losing to Atalanta.
Well, let's throw it out there. But, in the comments, I want to know what everybody's sort of starting 11 is, right? Particularly, because I think we all know what the back four is. So we don't. I think Timber's going to come in. He's going to retain his place there. I think we'll go.
Depends if Calafiori's. I think Calafiori's got a shout if he's not injured.
Nah, I think Timber. Even if Calafiori's fit, I think Timber starts in that game, right? So Timber. I think. All right, give us your starting 11, but I think it will be.
I'd stick with the same back four. I would do.
And then, but particularly, I want to know what your midfield's going to be and what you're going to go with up front, and then also drop a little, few reasons why in those comments as well, because I'm really, really intrigued to know why. I've given my reasons why. These guys are giving their reasons why. Also in that game, we're not wearing red. We're not wearing our red kit in that game. Yeah. We are going to be wearing our black kit.
Can you remember the last time?
Right?
I can't.
Right, now, I don't know if you know the reasons why.
I've seen the reasons.
It's nothing to do with Arsenal. Before everybody, I think that some people were straight away like, well, look, why are we not, they're trying to promote the kits, and it's nothing to do with that. Arsenal actually wanted to wear red. It's our friends at the PGMOL, the referees.
And there's nothing wrong with that decision.
Who say that there's too much white on the back of Arsenal's shirt, which I think, I think it's ridiculous.
It's not.
Now, Arsenal did actually offer to say, all right, we'll change our shorts. Remember that time when they played with those red shorts, and red socks? And they said there's still too much white. Come on, man. There's too much. What? That's a problem.
It is a problem because one of the biggest issues.
There's too much white. If they're going to wear red shorts, red shirt, red socks.
So look at the difference between this shirt. I happen to be modelling today, and the shirt that we're going to wear.
No, it's got white sleeves.
It's got, but it was all down the side as well.
Yeah,
it was too much white, and a lot of decisions,
they're colourblind. The referees. This is when we used to play in black and white.
But I was actually surprised that we've played in red and white when we play them anyway, because one of the bigger things for a football decision is, and I suppose VAR does definitely help this, is when the sleeves are the same colour. You've got to look for a handball, especially when they're crowded and you see two arms going up.
These are referees, man.
Yeah, it makes it a bit more
Spurs
difficult.
played in white shorts last year, and we played in white shorts.
Yeah, and I thought that was strange.
Strange, you know. I've seen Chelsea play in blue, and Man City playing
I
light
could
blue.
never understand that.
And that was all right.
Because it's not just, black and white TV. They can see the difference. Come on.
It's just them being like getting busy again. But if that's the decision,
listen, we played in that black kit already away this season. We won, right? So
does it bother you? It does me a little bit.
I do kind of like. I like to see. You know what? Right? When that North London derby's on, I like to see us in red and them in white. Right, because I don't know. It's just I like the fact that whether it's home or away, we're wearing our. You know what I mean? Those are our colours.
I also want to see our away kit being yellow, because that was our traditional away kit. And white has to be black.
But to me, but anyway, listen. I don't care.
But can you remember the last time? Because I can't. If anybody can put it in the comments.
I can remember Vetman. And by the way, when they come to our place now, they've got to wear their away kit. They're not allowed to wear their white, which again is ridiculous, right? But I remember them coming to our place wearing a black or grey type kit.
I remember Spurs have changed their kit a few times.
A game when Bale scored. Remember that?
Yeah. I don't remember. I can't remember. There must have been a time when we played in...
I think it might have been December 93.
Can these PGMOL guys go?
Not that I've looked into.
Do you reckon they could concentrate?
I did read it. I think it was December 93.
Do you reckon these guys, PGMOL, could just concentrate on getting decisions right instead of?
Yeah, but they're trying to help themselves get the decisions right.
Well, I mean, Brighton had on stripes, had white within that. So is that why they was all? Didn't
they
give
played in yellow. They played in yellow, didn't they?
It was a yellow. We had a little bit of blue on it, so what I mean. Does that clash with anything? I mean, come on.
We have played at Brighton in red and white before, but
I think the biggest thing I've seen is what you brought up is the Chelsea Man City, 2 shades of blue.
Yeah, and they've let that go. But listen,
what's wrong with
it? They've changed. They've changed. It'd be very interesting to see. I don't know if Chelsea. Did City change their kit this year or not? I don't know, but I remember watching it. I think it was last year. We was watching bits of it on the phone coming back from Burnley, and I'm thinking, I can't.
Yeah. It's all better than that. Remember the kit last year? We gave us both a headache at West Ham.
Yeah. So that, we're getting old.
Anyway,
that's another thing. I'm a bit of a tradition. It does bother me a little bit that we are playing in our away kit.
I would have liked to see
us. I understand.
Listen, I would have liked to see us playing red, but it's not a thing that I'm going to lose it over it. We're putting it a black kit, right? I like all black kits away, anyways, right? And we've won. We've had a good record in that kit so far, right? So let that record continue. Let it continue. I mean,
we've had a good record in away games, full stop. I think we've won the last 9 out of 10.
We've been good away.
And we've drawn 1.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another reason why we should be very confident going into this game. You know what I mean?
I think
we're very good on the road.
Yeah. I think you said it last time. It might have been you. I can't remember. I always feel a little bit more confident going away than I do at home at the minute. And even though our home record's really good, I always feel like a draw is a defeat, sort of similar to a defeat. But when I go away from home, I'm pretty confident.
Okay, we're going to need it over the next 3 games.
Yeah, we're going to. The defence is going to have to
three
be
tough away games, but maybe sometimes it's better to have them all together as well. I don't know. We're going to find out. Let me get some predictions before we go today. Julian. North London derby.
Having looked at Spurs' record at their new ground, I think they've had 101 games there. They've only had 9 draws. They've never had a 0-0 in 101 games.
Really?
Never had a goal draw. So you've got to look at the fact that there's going to be goals in that game. I don't think Arsenal are going to concede. I think he'll go in quite defensive. I don't think they've got the nous to break us down. And I can see us nicking a couple of goals. I think it'll be 2-0.
Lee?
2-0.
2-0 as well?
Yeah,
I'm going to go 2-1. I think we could concede. I think, their strengths is in attack. Even though they're not clinical, but they will try to pepper us. I think they will look on it, the fact that, they're really going to press on us in midfield and stuff like that. But we got a better defence. My thing, I was doing a preview with expressions on Best of Enemies, right? And I said to him, I go, the difference is, right, between the two sides in particular right now is we've got a very good defence. You haven't. And I know, they'll go on about Van der Ven and Porro, and we was doing this combined 11, and they're trying to tell me those guys are in it. I said, those guys, they're good Instagram players. When you see the highlights of them bombing forward, they look great. But all about the defensive duties, set pieces, all those sort of things. What are they like on those? And I just think that's where we're going to win this game. We've got a good defence, and we're more clinical than them up front as well. 2-1 Arsenal. That's what I'm going. Would love to get you guys out there, get your stare on it. What do you think it's going to end up as? Massive game coming up this weekend. North London derby. And we'll all be there. We'll all be very nervous on the game, but we'll all be there. And we're looking forward to it. Want to thank the guys from NordVPN for powering this video. Big up to those guys. Don't forget their big deal, 4 months free. And you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it's a brilliant thing to have when you're on your travels. Of course, we're heading out. Well, these guys heading over to Atlanta. Atalanta. Keep saying Atlanta. You go to Atlanta. Atalanta. During the week, I'm heading to New York. We'll definitely be using our NordVPN. And anybody over there in New York, I want to watch that game with you guys, right? So the big one, first game in the Champions League, new format. It's going to be massive. Lee, thanks very much. Julian, thanks very much. I'll see you both on Sunday. It's the North London derby, people. The biggest game in the Arsenal calendar. Takes place this weekend. Check out AFTV. We've got it covered. Bring big watch along to that. And we're all over it from the start. So make sure you get involved. Thanks for watching. And we'll be back next week with another Invincible podcast. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.